The Film Crickets are intended for mature audiences. Any guests on the Film Crickets do not necessarily share the same opinions as the Film Crickets. It's time for the Film Crickets with Jay Fortier, Chris Martineau, and Melanie Howerton. Previous to this episode, Jay Fortier has been on over 140 episodes. That's dedication. Unfortunately, he cannot be on this episode, but following that theme, Chris and Melanie said the show must go on. And they review the 1983 American supernatural horror film, Christine. Does it stand the test of time? Let's find out. Your Film Crickets are on now.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Film Crickets, the podcast where we examine films from the 80s to 2000 to decide whether or not they hold up to the test of time. I'm running the board today. I'm co-host Chris Martineau, joined by my longtime friend, Jason Fortier, co-host Jason Fortier. How are you, Jason?
Doing well, man. I was on vacation, and just real quick, and then I'll have you introduce Melanie. But I kind of already did. But here's the thing: I was not even supposed to be here. Because Melanie had something with her daughter that pushed it back a couple of days. I was like, I'll be around. Sure. So it's kind of cool.
Excellent.
So I was like, no, keep it as you running the board. So I'll be the guest.
I can take it. Wow. So again, longtime friend Jay Fortier and newer friend and co-host Melanie Howerton. How are you today, Melanie?
I am very good today. And how about you?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So today on the docket, because we kind of rolled the dice a tad, because we thought it was just going to be me and Melanie and Ray, and then just me and Melanie. And now Jay's back. We went ahead and decided we're going to do a movie that we have been talking about. We like horror movies. So we decided upon Christine, John Carpenter classic Christine. So before we get into it, and boy, this movie really it's a strong cup of coffee. It really kind of wakes you up, and it's not your typical horror movie beyond a shadow of a doubt, I think. So before we decide whether or not it holds up, let's get into the history with your relationship with Christine, the movie, the car, the book, whatever. We'll start with studio right over to Melanie. Melanie, what is your history with Stephen King's John Carpenter's Christine?
I don't know. I feel like I've watched this since I was born. I don't know.
Oh, Jesus.
I just don't
wow, that's some hospital. All right.
My mother is the biggest Stephen King fan that I've ever known in my life. She owns literally every work of art he's ever done, including books. She has everything. So I just always grew up with Stephen King and this movie. I always enjoy watching it. So I don't know.
Okay.
It's a great movie.
So this is VHS from way back in the day?
No, we have the DVD now.
DVD, okay. But you originally saw it VHS?
Yeah.
Okay, not cable, something like that.
I don't remember exactly when it was. It could have been on TV when I first watched it.
And you're like what? How old were you when you first saw the movie?
God, how old? When did the movie come out?
83.
I don't know. I guess right when it first came out, I probably watched it. I was born in 74, so.
All right, so my age. So I'm going to guess here. I saw it when I was 86, so 12, 13, 14, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. That work?
Yeah. Well,
because it's context. Yeah. It's definitely context for what I want to talk about later.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, but you've seen it a bunch of times, apparently. Read the book? Mother read the book?
My mother has read the book. I have not read the book. But I have a ton of shit in here about the book and some of the differences between the book and the movie. I didn't put all of that in there, but I put a lot of that in there because it was huge differences.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that King adaptations back in the early 80s are notorious for not, barring The Shining, that's a completely different matter, but all the other adaptations don't really follow the book too much. All right.
Yeah.
Jason, what's your history with the movie, the book, Christine? Tell me about it.
I saw the movie probably in 84 because I got cable in 83. And, they were kind of famous for rolling out the hits, maybe a year later on cable.
Okay.
Sure. So, I'm just guessing 84. saw it a couple times over the years. It's quite memorable.
Sure.
Meaning like it just stays with you. I don't. It's not a movie I've always needed to revisit, but it's not because I don't like it. It's just one of those, you get those that are like on your radar, but you're like, yeah, whatever, I'll get to it when I get to it. And but it's always been something that's like different like quotes have made me laugh or like just like kind of like like just moments you're like, wow, how about that? It's funny, the guy that runs the Darnell, the guy that runs the garage. Now I always quoted him when he says, well, don't think about it too long, I'll throw you out on your fucking ass. Right. Right after he just offers to basically really help out Arnie, the guy who gets the car. He's like, you can if you pick up around the place and you put your toilet paper on a spool.
Is Darnell in the studio? What is happening?
Right.
Jesus.
That's good.
Right. And he's like, and I'll let you ride my junk pile for whatever you want, and maybe I'll throw in a couple of bucks. I'll think about it. Well, I'll think about it too long. I'll throw you out in your fucking ass. All right. It's just like he's offering you the world here. Don't think about it. Just say yes because you're a kid from high school that doesn't. I don't think he even has a job. Right? Oh man, so great. But go ahead, you guys.
No, that's cool. So, and Darnell, we're going to talk about Darnell, but boy, if ever there were a person. Yes.
Hard to recognize that he is the same guy that hired Robin Williams in Mrs. Doubtfire. Hard to recognize that he's the same. Yeah, he's the clean cut man.
I literally never even put that together.
Right, because he's so filthy in this, and disgusting looking. And also he plays this basically similar role in The Great Outdoors. He's the guy behind the counter there. Oh, shut the brick up. talking to his dog. It's freaking great. So a very versatile actor.
Yeah, very. And you know what? Two things about him, man. Like you watch him and you can almost smell him. You can almost smell him, his body odor and his breath.
And grease.
You can almost
mixed with oil.
Diesel,
yes, the grease.
Oil,
oil and cigars,
I'm so glad the man that runs the junkyard and the do-it-yourself garage, which I had never heard to up to this point, wears a sport jacket to work and a tie. I'm very glad for that because you need that kind of in a professional setting.
You can't polish a turd.
You can't polish a turd. All right, so let me get to my experience with Christine. So this is a Pirate Grandma dubbed classic. I saw it originally rented, and all I remember about, again, we're talking about 6th, 7th, 8th grade. All I remember about it was that car, such a sexy car. The 58 Plymouth Fury, fetishized throughout the movie, which we'll talk about later. But when I first saw it, I can't say I saw it a lot, but when I did watch the dub copy that I had, I just skipped right to the car scenes because when I sat down to watch this movie, again, at this point, I've seen Big Trouble in Little China. One of my favorite movies. I've already seen it. I've seen Prince of Darkness, probably. Again, John Carpenter. I am on board with John Carpenter. I've seen The Thing. I couldn't watch all of it because it was too gross. It actually made me sick to my stomach when I was 10 or 12. I'm serious. I had to leave the room. Once the guy's face started to come off, I felt like I was going to throw up. So that's my initiation to John Carpenter, but I know I liked him. So I'm like, oh, Christine, John Carpenter's Christine. Must be really good. And I remember watching it, and again, this gets into it, and we'll talk about the movie in a moment. I saw it, and it was like out of the gun, they're saying the C word. They're talking about, we need to get you laid. Maybe I should just beat off. That girl's a sperm bank. She's a sophomore. I should know. Like, whoa. And I just, and Arnie, now I'm about to go into high school, maybe middle school, right? High school's coming up. Arnie's first day in school, he almost gets stabbed in the auto shop. I'm scared out of my mind for becoming a high school student because I was already meek. I am Arnie. I mean, not that bad, but I'm nerdy. I walk to school with a clarinet and an electric piano in my hand to go to band class. Like, I am nerdy as all get out. And so I identify with Arnie, and I'm like, Arnie gets beat up a lot. So I didn't like watching the movie because I wasn't ready to hear the C word and the way that the big kids in high school talked. So I skipped ahead of that and just wanted to see the car level people. I wanted to see the car on fire. I wanted to see I wanted to see all that stuff. And the rest of the movie kind of bored me. So I watched it once or twice, but only skipped ahead. I've seen the whole movie, but then when I finally watched it the other day as part of our assignment, I watched it from beginning to end. I watched about 3/4 of it. I'm like, there's a lot going on in this movie.
That's the first time you actually sat down and like actually paid attention to the whole thing?
No, I think I've watched it back to front, but I couldn't appreciate any of it when I was younger because all I was interested in was the car because that's all I could identify with. You know, these high school kids, like, I don't know what they're talking about. Like, what? You're supposed to just, like, if you're, my senior year, if you don't get laid, like, something happened to you? Like, I didn't understand any of that.
But so you literally had never watched it before as an adult, ever?
No, not as an adult. I'm going to say probably the last time I saw it, I was about 17.
Wow.
And because it's a blind spot, because I like Carpenter's other work so much. Escape from New York, The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, I've seen it 50 times. You know, Prince of Darkness, like
our Halloween episode. You said you barely watched Halloween because you were just so into the stuff you already loved about Carpenter, and you were like, you know, I know about Halloween. I don't have to keep revisiting that. You know, like so, like it kind of is and like one of those that didn't stay on your radar.
Yeah, because at this point I've watched so many horror movie documentaries and compilations that I've seen enough of the scenes that I know the movie. So I felt like I didn't need to revisit it from the beginning to the end. But boy, this movie is no, it's fine because this is a strong cup of coffee. So I started watching it about 3/4 through, and I told my wife about it because I watched it when she's, you know, like not early in the morning, but still. And I'm like, I think we need to watch this together. So I restarted it, and I watched the whole thing through. So I really watched it 1 3/4 times. It's a very good movie. There's a
lot going on. I think it was like incredibly. I'm already like tipping my hat here, but it's to me, it's so incredibly well written.
Yep.
And the filming is amazing, and the background music is amazing. Like everything. And I'm just gonna say right away, I have a lot of favorite parts, but I'm gonna say one of my favorite parts is when the gas station blows up and that car is driving down the highway on fire. And you hear the music, and that guy, I always remember how he was running. You know, the guy that looks like he's like 47 or 45 years old.
That's he's in
high school, you know?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite parts. You know, of course, the drive-in part is one of my favorite parts. I have a few parts that I'm like in love with that I'll say later on. But I just think that like that scene where the car is chasing Buddy was like, it was almost beautiful. It was so well done. It was incredible. It was like perfection. I think out of any scene in any movie, you can look at that part and say it's perfection, absolute perfection in that shot.
And Jason and Melanie, I got to tell you, and I have the quintessential book on John Carpenter. This is a whole book of a one-on-one interview with John Carpenter. A student gave this to me in 2002 because we talked about Big Trouble in Little China a lot.
Yeah.
And he views this movie as he didn't have his heart in this movie.
What?
Because he felt he needed a job after the bomb of The Thing. And he felt so hurt by the way that movie was received and the way the critics just destroyed it that he's like, I'm never going to get work again. He was going to do Firestarter and that fell through. He's like, well, I need a job. I guess I'll do this. And he says in the book, it's a movie that I didn't have my whole heart into. If you didn't have your whole heart into that movie, it does not show. Because the way there's so much subtext in the film and the way it's shot is awesome sauce.
Yeah, the way it's shot is amazing.
It's crazy.
Like when Dennis is playing football, I couldn't wait to see that scene. And he just looks up and just, again, the music. And you look back and you see Arnie with the car and he's kissing that most popular, most beautiful girl in the school, the one that he asked out and she said no. And he looks different and the car is brand new and that looks different. He's with the most, he just, you know, that's what gets him hurt. Like, because he can't stop looking at them together. And it's insane. Like, I love that part. There's so many good parts.
So I'm going to put a pin in
real quick.
Go ahead.
I want to mention that Kelly Preston in an early role actually, you know, is in the same movie with low rent John Travolta.
That's true. He is low rent John Travolta.
Buddy is low rent John Travolta.
And he looks 45.
No, but he does not. Doesn't he look like Vinnie Barbarino and like all those long hair? It's like, dude, they were trying so hard because it's been forever since I've seen it. Wasn't John Travolta in Carrie?
Yes.
He was the bad guy.
Oh, yes, he was.
Yes,
yeah.
He was.
Right. And he always had like the longest hair, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And apparently there was a deleted scene. There's 1,000 deleted scenes, but there was a deleted scene where Kelly Preston and Dennis were dating originally, and they went to the movies to go see Grease, which is just funny to me, obviously, because she ended up marrying him, but that whole thing was cut out. I didn't even write that down, but
we got to put a pin in the gang too, because there's so many things going on with the dynamic of the gang, the dynamic of the relationship between Arnie and Dennis and Lee. There's a lot of shit going on in this movie that as a young person, I didn't get because I just wanted to see the car. So let's do the quick IMDb breakdown. Then I have some questions. So here we go. We have got Christine. Comes out in 1983. It's rated R. Comes in an hour and 50 minutes. It's got a big tagline on the poster. I can't read it, but it's a big one. Here's your one sentence. A nerdish. No, I'd say full on nerd. Nerdish boy buys a strange car with an evil mind of its own, and his nature starts to change to reflect it. As previously mentioned, directed by John Carpenter, writer Stephen King, Bill Phillips, starring Keith Gordon in a tremendously well-acted role, Dean Stockwell, Alexandra Paul as, John Stockwell as Dennis, I apologize, Alexandra Paul as Lee, not a great actress, Robert Prosky as Darnell, Harry Dean Stanton is the Columbo of the movie, love him, Christina Belford as Regina Cunningham, and so on and so on and so on, and a couple of other actors that I will bring up later. And Kelly Preston as Roseanne. Go ahead.
Doesn't Lee? I've always done this, but maybe other people don't see what I see. But I always conflated Lee with the girl that was Arnie's girlfriend in Back to School. They're like a similar look. Like the long black hair or dark brown hair, blue eyes. I don't know. I conflate her with her and the girl from Night of the Comet. Like there's like three actresses that kind of blend like together. I know, they obviously have distinct differences if you put them together. Maybe I'll do a shot of them all three together. But
that's one movie I've been dying to do is Night of the Comet.
Never seen Night of the Comet.
I want to do a creature double feature. I want to do Night of the Comet and Night of the Creeps together.
I think it should be Chopping Mall and Night of the Comet.
No, because they go
That's
together.
The same actress. It's the same actress.
Doesn't matter. The other thing goes together more.
All right, so look, let's get in. Let's ask some questions about the movie. So here's the thing. Let's start with Arnie. What's Arnie's problem? Like, what's his problem? He's got issues. And what's his issues? What are his issues?
Are that he's been like coddled and his parents are super strict and his mom doesn't let him, which by the way, I think I wrote this down later on. She's only 12 years older than him in real life. But anyway, because I remember thinking she looks pretty good. But anyway, so she coddles him. She's very strict. She doesn't let him do anything. I mean, it was even funny how like later on Dennis is in the driveway and she's like, "Did you have plans with Dennis?" It's like, he's freaking 17 years old. He is not a 5-year-old. It's just the way that she treats him is literally insane. And watching this movie when I was younger, I always thought it was so rude that she wouldn't let him keep his car in the driveway. Like he paid for that with his hard-earned money and it needs a lot of work and he loves it so much. Like I would never say no to that. Like I would want to help my kid fix that up. I think it would be the coolest thing. I don't understand why she's so prissy and bitchy about the whole thing. Like I think she just doesn't want him to have freedom at that point. Later on when they offer to buy him a car, because the whole thing gets destroyed, I think they feel bad for him. But in the beginning, I don't think she wants him to have that freedom. Do you know what I mean? Like he's just, kids like that are not allowed to ever do anything in their life. They end up like that. I don't know, and then they can rebel just like he did, although they had different things to do with it, but you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And that's where I'm at. What I didn't understand when I was smaller is that Arnie is obviously a nerd. I mean, to him, a night out or an interesting evening is playing Scrabble with his parents and him demolishing his father right out of the gate. Like that's his big story of the evening. I'm not saying you got to go out and be like, hooking up with cheerleaders and drinking a fifth of Jack, but it's a little better than that. He's a senior in high school and she's packing his lunch with the yogurt, telling him to put it on ice. Something I used to tell my 6-year-old, make sure it's cool, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
So of course he's going to rebel because he doesn't understand. But here's my thing. I got 2 things I got to bring up with Arnie. He rebels because who wouldn't?
Yeah.
He says, look, I've done everything you've asked me to do. I bought this car. I want this. There's an automated vacuum in my room right now. Not unlike Christine vacuuming my floor. Sorry about that.
Red? What's red? No, that's a guitar.
Yeah, no, that's my Roomba just suddenly came in. So anyway, sorry, I didn't think it'd get through. Let me know if that's a distraction. So Arnie, of course he's going to rebel because that's what kids do. But he's rebelling when he's a senior in high school. You're supposed to rebel a little bit earlier than that. You need to have a little bit of room to do your thing. Because, and here's my thing, is that Arnie wants to grow up. He has not been allowed to grow up. And to him, respect is people will like my car. For he is yearning for respect from somebody. And nobody gives it to him. And because he has been given no space earlier in his life, he doesn't understand what an adult is. He thinks that the way he treats his girlfriend when eventually Lee comes up, and again, this has almost nothing to do with the car, though it's a piece of it, but the car feeds on the fact that he is a wounded soul, that because the car is supernatural, he's a wounded soul. He doesn't know how to deal. He's looking for respect. And to him, adults that are respected, they love your car. Whatever you say, that's what I'm going to do. So he doesn't understand how to be an adult. So Arnie wanting to rebel is natural. And his parents kind of suck. Well, she sucks because she's so controlling. But what else is he supposed to do? What else does he understand? You know what I mean?
He like what you're saying, and I said it too, like kids like that would rebel. But this is the thing. And this is not why Arnie rebelled.
Mm-hmm.
It's not why he rebelled, and it's not that he got the car because he wanted respect. That had nothing to do with it. It was because he was possessed by the car.
Sure.
So it really he probably would have went his rest of his life being exactly the way he was if he didn't see that car. And that's what it is. I mean, when he saw that car, it has nothing to do with him wanting respect from the car. That car changed him. That car possessed him, and it is a possession. Christine is a story of possession. So no matter, and that's the thing. They wanted to show him how he dressed, how he acted. That was the whole point of it. It wasn't in a normal kid. Yes, he did that to be rebelling because he was so coddled. But he did all these things that he's doing. The reason why they wanted the movie to be like this is to show how nerdy he was or how good he was with his parents and the relationship he had with his parents and how obedient he was and blah, blah, blah. Band camp or whatever the heck that they wanted him to do. He's in band. He's in this. He's in that. Because they wanted you to see how once he got this car and like the guy who sold it to him said, you're stupid. He had the same look that my brother had on his face when he, got this car. He was possessed by the car. That car changed him. And that's why you want to see his clothes changing and his glasses disappear and his hair gets a little better. And as the movie goes on, even the look in his eyes is so different. Like there was one part of it. I forgot what part it was. I probably wrote it down. I know I wrote it down, which I'll never be able to find it now, but here it is. When he was in the hospital, the second time he went into the hospital and he had the 4 beers lined up and the look in his eyes, they were heavier. They weren't open all the way. That's when you can truly see that he's just, I think in that point, when you see his eyes, you knew he was changing up to that point to begin with anyway. But when you see his eyes in that, he's not himself anymore. He's gone.
All right. I want to counter with that. I agree. Yeah. But I'm going to counter a little bit by saying the car didn't tell him what clothes to wear. You know what I mean? The car didn't tell him to take your glasses off. The car didn't tell him to slick his hair back. I think that confident Arnie that came out because of the car was always there. And it's because he now has this awesome vehicle, he is able to be more confident. And because of that, ask the girl out. Because he asked Lee out. Lee is not Dennis's type. Lee is academic. So Arnie probably already had a shot with her anyway. He just needed a little bit of extra confidence to be able to do it. And that confidence came from fixing up the car. He fixed up that car itself. Before the show me scene, he did all that work himself.
He did all that work himself.
So he is very proud of what he's been able to do.
Yeah.
Then during that time, now here's where it switches, because he does get possessed by the car. The car is supernatural. In classic Stephen King style, the car begins the movie supernatural. Why? Doesn't matter. I'm going with the movie, not with the book. Because.
We have something on both. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just because. It's the devil is in the car. So the car lures him in, a sucker, right? The car knows that if I get fixed up, the car is a vampire. The car is a vampire. It's like in Interview with a Vampire. At the end, Tom Cruise kind of gets put in the swamp and he feeds off of frogs, but he's just waiting for a little bit of energy to come back. Christine is a vampire. Christine is all broken down, has finally been beaten, but still a little bit alive. With a little bit of life, you can suck somebody in, fix the car up because the car doesn't have enough energy to do it itself. Because of that, gives Arnie some confidence to do what Arnie wants to do, to maybe grow up a little bit.
However,
hold on, wait a minute. But as the car gets more better, the car starts sucking the life force out of him. So as the car starts to improve, he's eating the energy. The car is eating the energy of Arnie. That's when the black eyes start to show up. That's when he starts to drink more. That's when he becomes a real asshole to his parents, like beyond just being, I want my car. I can't believe I can't put it in my driveway, to choking his dad out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we are at a point, once the car gets to a level, the car and Arnie have a dysfunctional, codependent relationship. There's no doubt about it. They need each other up to the point where Christine has enough energy to work on her own and then has no problem murdering Arnie at the end.
But but the thing is did you notice that it wasn't just the fact that he was dressing better? He was in this, and I read this, and actually, like, Arnie, the real guy, and like Carpenter and all that, they wanted to show that he was actually being possessed by Christine. So the clothes that he was wearing weren't just clothes that he thought were cool. They were clothes from the era that Christine was built in. So he was actually dressing in 50s clothes. And he was dressing in clothes of the era that the car was built. And they did that on purpose to let you know that it was a possession. So it wasn't just like he, at that point, he really was not really himself anymore. He was possessed by the car.
And that switch happens when the car regenerates itself on its own. That switch happens because I'm sorry, Jay.
No, it's before that. It's before that.
I think it's, wait a minute.
It's all right. I wasn't supposed to be here either.
He'd already got the girl, everything.
No, I
wasn't supposed to be in this episode anyway. Don't worry about
it. So, no, what I'm saying is this, that the car, and again, is the car evil? We actually root for this car at one point, don't we?
Oh, when it's getting beat up, sure. When they're basically like, you can't wait for them to kill off the people who was like tormenting Arnie and beating up the car. Like, and I remember thinking when they went there and they were crushing up that car, I was like, who would do that to somebody? That's just absolutely horrible. Like,
well, here, I'm sorry, Jay. I know you got a point, but this is one of the things I thought about discussing with my wife is that Christine is a female energy. They named it Christine. They fetishized this car from the beginning. It's the only red car in the lot. Okay. It's slowly coming out bad to the bone. It's a sexy car. They zoom in on the curves of the car. It's surrounded by men in the factory working on her undercarriage. In fact, when I'm serious, when the hood's open and it closes on the guy's hand, he's basically got his hand up her shirt, if you want to think of it that way, and she says, "No way!" Slam. Now, no, I'm deadly serious. And then when we get to the point where it gets demolished by the gang, okay, think of it this way. Now, try to recall the scene. Arnie has his date with Lee. It doesn't go well. It's after the drive-in. He brings the car back to the garage, okay, and the car doesn't have enough energy to do it on its own. Again, my vampire theory, right? And by the way, the car's a vampire because it always goes back to its coffin at night, which is the garage. Just throwing it out there. Now, think of it this way. The man and the woman, Arnie and Christine. Arnie drops Christine off to her house. Arnie leaves. Door shuts. Christine is now surrounded by 5 aggressively masculine men, and they basically sexually assault the car. They don't just destroy the car, they humiliate the car. And it's like, imagine like a helpless, again, I'm thinking of other, they shit on it. Mm-hmm. And like, it's a helpless woman on her own, surrounded by 5 guys.
But I don't know why she didn't fight back then, though. I don't get that.
Because she didn't have the energy yet. Or
no, she
wanted to get demolished to lure Arnie in more. One of the ways it's manipulative. But I maintain that this female energy, that's why when in that scene, when she is not only destroyed, but I think sexually assaulted by these other men,
she rebuilds.
That's why you're cheering for the car when she's gunning everybody down. Because Christine is the villain of the movie, but you're cheering for her. And you can't wait for her to be on fire and run the guy down. It's so badass. Sorry, Jake.
She rebuilds right there on her own in front of Arnie, and that sucks him in even further.
Right.
So that's like like completing the deal, right?
And show me.
Well, hold
that's
on.
honeymoon night stuff. That's honeymoon night. No. Come on, show me. And then you hear,
show me what you can do. You know what I mean? Show me.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's something in there. Sorry, go ahead.
No, and then of course everybody would root at this point for the car and Arnie, because we've already seen these guys be douchebags. They're evil. Mm-hmm. They're evil kids. They really are. They're not. There's really nothing redeeming about them. The other guy with the afro, the white man's afro.
The psychic guy.
He's the one from Ghostbusters. He's the one from Ghostbusters.
No, it's going to get electric shocks.
I don't know.
A couple of wavy lines.
Really?
You remember at the beginning?
This isn't your day. Yeah.
He's like, holding up the card. Holding up the card. Bill Murray going.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the girl like, is it a star?
That's him.
And he's like, it is a star. But
okay. I have to about him before I lose it. Okay. Do you remember after he did that to the car and they destroyed the car, and then he saw the car and he goes, Arnie, is that you? Are you mad at something? Oh no, I'm not mad. You just destroyed my car that I spent like months to rebuild.
You mean the big guy, right?
Do you remember that?
The big guy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he goes.
Right. Oh, and by the way, real quick,
are you mad or something?
This is one of those moments where
he says, he goes, "You're not sorry." He goes, "You're not mad, are you?"
No, not at all.
No, but how about this? You're in an alley against a brick wall, and the car is slowly inching towards you.
Mm-hmm.
Jump.
Climb up over the hood.
That's what I'm saying. Step, jump, do something. Don't just stand there and act like the girl from Friday the 13th waiting for the axe.
Friday the 13th, yes. Yeah, she stands there.
Or the guy from Austin
Prometheus.
Powers.
Yeah. Yes, that was so funny.
Prometheus is a better one. You have a big vertical ship that's rolling on you. You don't run to the side. But I'm with you there. And again, the problem with a car villain is that I know that it's a supercar, but, jump into a lake, go into like the 3rd floor of a building. Like what?
Well,
I don't know.
Lee, at the end of the movie, she's like, it's trying to run her over and her back is up against a ladder. Climb the goddamn ladder. Why are you just standing there? She's like,
or how about their plan? Okay, I'm going to get in here. We're going to hotwire it together. Now walk by yourself. To the office, and we're not going to check to see if that office is locked.
Oh, but guys, I forgot that Christine was already in the garage when they went to go ambush Christine. I forgot Christine was already in the garage.
She was?
Like under the pile of rubble, because they were waiting for Christine to come through the front door.
I thought they did.
No, they were waiting, but the car was. She's already in the rubble.
Already there. Okay.
That's when the lights turned on and the classic John Carpenter bling.
Yeah, I love that music. It's the best.
It was so obviously him.
We got to look at them. Like, who did the music in Fire started? Because I kind of thought that a lot of that music kind of sounded similar.
I don't think it's John Carpenter. Not John.
No, but the music, like,
sure.
Some of the music sounded like a little bit like Firestarter.
Well, here comes the Googles. So, but here's the thing, like, and that's what I mean about the nuances of the movie, is that it's not an easy watch. It's not super entertaining. It's wicked good, but it's not like, I can see why I didn't watch it over and over and over again, because it's not a lot of fun. Like Halloween is more fun to watch.
Oh, okay. Can I say something on that since you just said Halloween?
No, you can't say something, Melanie. I'm sorry. No, go ahead. What?
So first of all, the film that in Arnie's neighborhood that was shot in the same neighborhood as Halloween, by the way.
That's
Arnie's
cool.
neighborhood was Halloween neighborhood. But this is the thing. Do you remember in the beginning of this movie when he said to the mother, you know, I tried to talk him out of it. Well, you should have tried harder. And then he went to Darnell's place and he goes, if you sold him that piece of crap or whatever, he's like, I didn't sell it to him. I tried to talk him out of it. Well, you should have tried harder. I was thinking forever. Yeah. And I'm like, where have I heard this before? This sounds so familiar. There was a movie where this guy kept saying, I didn't do it, blah, blah, blah. And he kept getting blamed for it over and over. I'm like, it was freaking Halloween. Damn you for letting him out. I didn't let him out. I gave orders to let him, like, it was like over and over and over again. But I didn't let him out. Damn you for letting him out over and over and over again. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But it reminded me.
It becomes a joke. Like it's annoying at first and becomes a joke. Jay, what do you got from the Googles?
All right. So Tangerine Dream did the original Firestarter, but John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, and Daniel Davies did the new Firestarter.
There's a new Firestarter?
The 2022. Yep.
Yeah, not going to watch that.
Oh my God.
Really?
I've never seen that. The music was a little similar in some situations, all I have to say.
And Tangerine Dream did all that great music for Risky Business.
Yes. No, the music for this movie is very much the thing. There's a lot of dum-dum.
Also Halloween. I could hear that.
Like, and Halloween too.
Yeah, I could hear a lot.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, John Carpenter, we always, like, whenever you try to give him a compliment, like, you hear interviews with him and they say, like, oh, John, the music on this movie is really, really good. And he's like, I don't know. I'm a musician. It'd be cheaper if I just did it myself. Like, that's his whole thing with everything. Like this movie, like, he downplays that he tried in this movie or that he didn't have his heart in this movie. I disagree. I think he's, like, weirdly humble, but also doesn't want to deal with the film companies or the movie studios at all.
Because they're a bunch of douchebags.
They are. That's true.
Right. That's why a bunch of people are striking right now.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
Do you guys think that back brace? I always thought that back brace that guy.
Oh boy,
it was like the creepiest thing I've ever seen. Like I've worked in hospitals and rehab hospitals. I've never seen a back brace that quite looked like that. It almost looked like a rib cage or something. It just didn't. It just looked so weird to me.
It's probably a back brace from about 1950, and he's been wearing it since then. Yeah,
how dirty it was and shit too. It's so dirty.
Gross.
It's disgusting.
Absolutely gross. Ooh. He's the shovel guy from Home Alone.
Yes.
Don't forget.
Oh my God.
Yes. So he's scary, but not.
Wow. I didn't even see that either. I can't believe it. I just watched that the other day.
And it's so subtle. And I'll give you another reason that, you know, this movie is all over the place because it makes you watch it and absorb everything. Mm-hmm. And again, just like, and a point I was getting to before, like, of course, Arnie rebels and you can't blame him because of his parents, but he's also kind of a douche. So it's like it's hard to side with Arnie when he's being such an asshole, even though he's the hero of the movie. Or when it's a weird thing. Like you understand, but why you got to be such an asshole about it? Or his parents, like, look, I understand what you're saying. He's 17 years old. His mom comes out and says, you're going to lose all your friends if you keep treating him this way. Well, guess what? She's right. Like, she's right. So where's the thing? Like, the delivery vehicle is terrible. Like, she's not doing a good job, but she's not wrong either. And Arnie's not wrong for wanting to rebel, but he's not doing it the right way. So they've got this little nuclear family, the three of them that are supposed to be so happy, but they're terrible for each other. So what do you expect is going to happen? And that's so much analysis for a movie that John Carpenter didn't have his heart into. I don't understand. Like, or maybe we just got to just give it to Keith Gordon for doing such a good job of playing all those different types of Arnie. I don't know. It's not an easy movie.
I have a story. I don't know if I told you guys this or not at all, but like back in my crazy days, I had this red little sports car, and it was new, and I remember parking it. It was my friend's house. It was like a party, kind of one of those parties where you're just all like, oh, we'll just sleep over. So, and my car was parked on the street, and it was in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. Like I fell asleep and I woke up to the sounds of a car and glass and everything being smashed. You could hear the car being smashed, the glass, everything. And I woke up like, oh my God, my car, and I was so concerned with my car, and I jumped out of the room, ran over. There was a bunch of people that were still awake and they were watching Christine. And it was the part where they were smashing the car and vandalizing the car. Oh my God, thank God, right? I thought it was my car.
That's funny.
I just remember awesome. I was like, oh my God, because I had just gotten in the car and it was kind of a like shady area. But yeah, I was so happy to see that it wasn't my car.
You know what else is great is another aspect of pointing out that it is a possession type haunting thing.
Yeah.
Everything is old songs, and also it's speaking through those songs. Like, you keep on knocking, but you can't come in.
Yeah,
all the different stuff. And I also love that song that, like, she's playing for him, and he's like leaning forward, like bonding for the first time, and then she plays the same exact song as she tosses him out the freaking windshield and kills him. But it's like, you'll be mine forever or whatever. And it's also like even when
I'm surprised
Lee is about to choke on the burger.
I'm surprised the car let him fly out the window.
No, because the car was done with him. The car had as much power as it could possibly have. And it's an addiction parable. You know what I mean? This thing that has been giving me this much joy is actually destroying me. And at my final moments, Arnie is between the car and Lee, and he reaches out for the car.
I know.
There's no redemption. There's no redemption for Arnie. How dark is that?
Yeah.
Classic John Carpenter. Like, you, even in the end, you will not be redeemed. You will go for the car before you say, Lee, I'm sorry.
But it's not his fault.
That's perfect. It's because he's addicted. It's an addiction parable. It's a codependency parable. I swear to God, it is.
I have some stuff on that between the book and the movie of the origin of the evil.
All right.
Well,
hey, did you guys notice that the cop in this is the same cop in Misery from Stephen King? Well, he wasn't the cop in Stephen King. He was the creepy dad in Stephen King.
Okay, all right.
And Misery, sorry. Remember Buddy? Did you guys ever see the movie Frequency? Because if not, we have to do that one.
Yes.
I love it. Okay.
Yes.
So the serial it's so good. The serial killer in Frequency looks identical to Buddy. He looks just like him. He's got the sideburns, the hair, everything.
Okay.
Anyway. And then let me see what else. Oh, I never understood where that guy got in the car to begin with. Darnell, why would you get into the freaking car that's full of smoke? It's smoky in there. You don't want. Why would you want to sit on all those ambers and?
Melanie. Yeah. I thought that too, the first time I watched it, and then I rewatched it with my wife. When he gets in that car, when he gets in the car, he starts stroking the steering wheel,
like another guy.
And so I think he's got the clarion call. He's got the vampire voodoo that is drawing him in. Because he sits down, he doesn't go, what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
He starts to fondle the car.
Yeah.
And that's the way to get that car in so the car can destroy Darnell.
I like how he was killed in the movie. And I have something about how he was killed in the book, but that he just crushes him like that, it's kind of funny.
I don't think you can die that way, but whatever. All right, everybody. We've heard the movie. Now it's time for TMI.
It's time for TMI with Melanie.
Listen to this. I am in the bathroom right before the movie starts. And I'm in the stall, and there's no toilet paper.
Mine are at home in a display case above my bed.
TMI, my friends.
TMI?
Too much information.
Say don't go there, but that's lame.
Now, here's Melanie with your timeless movie info.
Okay.
All right, Melanie, let's hit us with some TMI.
It's time.
Shit. Sorry.
Go ahead.
That's
cool.
All right.
I'm
The
new on the
budget
board.
was 9,700 and it grossed 21,000.
Nope.
17
million?
849. Yeah,
Wait.
20. Well, yeah, so what
Back
I
that
was
up?
saying. I don't know what to say. Wait, sorry. 21,017,849. So
All right.
that's what it grossed, and the budget was 9,700. That was a
million.
very low budget.
But
That's
no,
not
it's got to be higher.
$9,000.
No, oh my God.
It's 9 million.
Oh my God, you're totally right. It's 9,700,000. How could they? Oh my God, how could they afford that back then?
Yeah.
That's a huge budget. That's why I didn't even think it was that, because I was like, there's no way.
No,
And
it's
then
a
I was
major
thinking,
release, though.
9,000 is way under.
9 million. 9 million's a lot, but it's probably not
It
like
seems
crazy.
like such a
like
lot.
That's not a lot for that time.
I guess not.
No.
But yeah,
All right.
9,000 would have been way under. So okay, sorry.
okay.
All right. So the 15% of the budget actually was spent on the cars alone. By the end of filming, all but 2 were destroyed. The film takes place in September 1957, and then from September 12th, 1978 to January 1979. John Carpenter refused to go to the premiere because of superstition. He said, when I go to the premiere, something bad always happens. Stephen King's popularity was so high at the time of the film, it went into production before the book was even published. Stephen King chose the 58 Plymouth Fury for Christine because it was a forgotten car. He said, I didn't want a car that already had a legend attached to it. And by the way, I just love the name Fury. I think that's just a cool name for a car. I just love that.
It's a great car.
It is.
Great car.
Let's see.
Well, and if it's possessed, I mean, the fury is like, it's already angry.
It's amazing. Yeah. And just because it was on fire too, it just looks so cool to be called that. I don't know. The opening scene, which shows Christine being born in Detroit, was added in for the movie. It was used to explain the origin of Christine's evil nature. But according to the movie, Christine was evil from the day she rolled off the assembly line, injuring an inspector and killing another worker who dropped a cigar ashes on her seat. Why would any asshole do that? I was so mad at that, actually. I was like, that's a brand new car smell. This guy's going to get in here with this gross cigar, and he doesn't care if he drops the ashes all over the seat. Like,
it's kind of a confusing moment, because the bloody hand just happened with the accident, and it's like, I'm going to get in. It was like a weird little moment.
Again, I would say that it's sexual assault. It's all these men are surrounding Christine, and she's fighting back any way that she can. First, the hands up her dress, hood comes down. Another guy comes in, sits on her, and ashes on her, and she says, "No way, pal." So, I mean, again, and what I always go with Stephen King and Melanie, maybe you're going to get to the origin more, but a lot of Stephen King books are just like, there's a psychic. Why? Because you got into a car accident. What? Go with it. It's fine. Like, we don't ever ask why. It happens. It just does, and we buy it, and it's okay. So sorry, go ahead, Melanie. TM.
Sorry, but yeah, I thought that was so rude, especially because that car was actually custom ordered in that red color, which they explained, because apparently most of those cars were supposed to be made in beige. Although I did see different colors on there, like yellow, but it was they had said that it was custom made in red. I think they had said that in the book. So that's a custom car that somebody bought for themselves, and he's in there with ashes. I thought that was horrible. And everybody loves that new car smell anyway. All right. So in the original book, it said that Roland LeBay himself, that his brother is the one that sold Arnie the car, but Roland LeBay himself sold Arnie the car, and he died soon after. And that is who made Christine evil. So it wasn't actually that she was evil from the assembly line. It was the fact that that guy was so obsessed with her, and he loved that car more than his daughter and his wife, who apparently died in the car. That itself is what made Christine evil, is Roland's evil spirit inside of Christine. So that's what it's supposed to actually be. And then the movie kind of changed it a little bit. So let's see. To simulate the car regenerating itself, hydraulic pumps were installed on the inside of some of the film's numerous Plymouth Fury stunts. Mock-up in plastic that looked more like metal on camera was actually metal that was bent and deformed. These pumps were attached to the cables, which turned attached to the car's bodywork and then compressed as they would suck the paneling inwards. And then, of course, you could tell that the footage inward crumbling body was reversed when they were doing it, you can tell it was reverse, that was so obvious that they kind of just reversed like the glass that was breaking, falling, back into the everything.
It worked though.
So yeah, they did a good job, but you could tell.
So good.
One of the Plymouth Furies from the movie was sold for $167,000 in 2004. Keith Gordon, who played Arnie, says on DVD extras, because I guess it was like, I don't think I have this one, because I was reading a lot of the stuff that was deleted I had in my DVD, but I have to look and see which one it is. But apparently there's some extras, and he pretended that the car was a woman. So whenever he touched the car, he imagined which part of the woman that he was touching.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Also, I didn't write this down, I don't think, but he said that he was like so nervous for his kissing scene with Lee that he asked her to practice. And everyone's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. 28 Plymouth Furies.
I have to say, I would be nervous as fuck. Let's keep practicing. Wait, no. I know. I think we have it next week. Let's start now.
Yeah, she was very pretty. 28 Plymouth Furies, which in reality were Belvederes or Savoys, were purchased and restored for the film. A few were showcase cars that were used whenever Christine was just sitting there looking pretty or whenever Arnie is driving her. There were hot red versions, souped up engines, and airplane landing lights for the headlights for Christine's rampages. And there were junked and shelled cars for the versions of Christine in despair or with her death scene. There is one way to tell which cars are the showcase or the hot ride cars and the stunt cars. If you look underneath the grille behind Christine's front bumper, the showcase cars have a chrome undergrille, while the stunt cars have a red painted undergrille. Let's see. John Stockholm, which is Dennis, who I thought was so cute. Anyway, had to take a bulldozer driving lessons before filming. Alexandra Paul, which is Lee, pranked John Carpenter by having her twin sister, by the way, she has a twin sister. She dressed as Lee and reported to the set. Carpenter recalled it was like an invasion of the body snatchers. She was a pod person. She accidentally filmed part of one of the scenes with her twin, and they kept it in the movie. It's the scene where they Dennis was actually trying to practice to drive the bulldozer a little bit more, and she was in that. So that's actually her twin sister that they kept in there.
All right. Cool.
So I thought that was kind of cool. And then the makeup lady and did her hair and stuff like that too. Detective Rudolph Jenkins. I don't know if you guys noticed, but he also drives the Plymouth Fury. You can see it when he questions Arnie in the school parking lot. His car appears to be a 77 or a 78 Plymouth Fury, a popular police car of the late 70s. Dennis,
can I interrupt a second?
Yeah.
These kids drive the best muscle cars ever.
Those are my favorite.
Oh my God. Dean Stockwell has the Dodge Charger, like a 78 Charger.
68.
And low rent John Travolta has a Chevy Chevelle SS.
Chevy Camaro 67.
What? Okay, fine. That looked like the one my sister had, but so these cars are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, guys?
Cars.
We forgot to talk about him. The cop.
Buddy? The cop.
Harry Dean Stanton?
Yeah. And I just want to go back a little bit just for a second. Can you imagine? Obviously, he is possessed at that point. But can you imagine somebody saying to a cop, "Isn't that what you do with shit? Scrape it up with a little shovel." After they're kind of leaning towards, "Aren't you the one who killed the guy?" He didn't say that, but you could tell he's leaning towards that without saying it. And
but he's trying to be a tough guy, which is my whole respect theory. Is that he's trying to be a tough guy, but he doesn't understand. He's trying to get respect from the cop, and say, "Well, don't bother me."
He's already gone by that point, isn't he?
I know that's my point, but later on, when it's obvious, he's got the alibi, but he says, "I swear to God, I didn't know what happened." He goes back to his little childish thing. So he's a baby. He's a baby. He's a baby. He doesn't understand what it means to be an adult, though he desperately wants to be one. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine. So like I was saying, Dennis's car is a 1968 Dodge Charger 440. Buddy's car is a 1967 Chevrolet Camaro. I loved both of those cars. I don't know.
So nice.
John Carpenter blacked out Christine's windows so that you didn't know if Arnie was driving her, which is really good because you really didn't know if he was behind it or not. And it was kind of a shock to see that he actually was in that car trying to kill his ex-girlfriend there. Many deleted scenes. That's what I was saying. Many deleted scenes, which Lee and Dennis are kissing in Dennis's car. Did you notice when they were in the bulldozer, she kind of just kept like rubbing his shoulder and stuff like that? It kind of looked like they were already in a relationship. They were a little bit too cozy. Yep. Well, apparently because there was a deleted scene where they're kissing in Dennis's car and Arnie pulls up behind them and catches them. So that they should have left that in there because that would have kind of explained why he was so goddamn pissed. And he, thought that was like, betrayal from his friend and his girlfriend, and would have explained why he didn't care if he killed them. So I think that was kind of an important part that they should have really left in the movie. Anyway, and there was another scene where I don't know if I think I might have told you this. I can't remember. Dennis and Arnie are working in a construction company during the summer and doing something outside. And that explains why Arnie had money that he was saving to buy the car and why Dennis knew how to drive the bulldozer. Right. And then also in the book, Christine is vandalized at an airport towards the very end of the movie for some reason. And Sandy Galton, an airport worker, which was a friend of Buddy, serves as a lookout when Christine is being vandalized. He skips town and at the very end is found to have been run over by a car, implying that Christine is alive again. In the book's finale, the bulldozer does not run Christine over, but is a pink septic truck named Petunia. Okay. And Stephen King's idea because he thought the finale battle would be between two powerful ladies duking it out. In the book, Darnell's death is much more dramatic. Christine breaks into his house through a picture window and rams his staircase repeatedly as he tries to climb up the stairs to get away. Due to his heart and asthmatic conditions from smoking, Darnell can barely breathe, and his heart stops, causing him to fall down the stairs, where Christine rams him over and over again. Christine also kills Arnie's parents and the detective, and they didn't do any of that for the movie. John Cusack auditioned for the role of Arnie. Nicolas Cage auditioned for the role of Buddy. Kevin Bacon was offered the lead role, but of course Kevin Bacon's offered every role. But he turned it down for Footloose. Christine's license plate begins with CQB, which is an acronym for Close Quarters Battle. The movie, and I don't know if I said this or not either, but the movie technically did not have enough violence to justify an R rating, so that they were afraid that the movie, if it was a PG rating, they were afraid that nobody would see it. Remember how we were talking before? I was like, sometimes I purposely try to make it an R movie so that people will want to go see it. And it's kind of, So basically PG-13 did not exist yet. And so he purposely threw in the F-bomb 1,000 times and talked dirty about women on purpose, which you were talking about, in order to try to get that R rating. So that's what he did.
All it takes is that misnaming of Arnie's last name, Cunningham.
Yes, right.
Replaced with the C word in the name, and let's just say that.
Well, also that they talk about sex and what they call. I'm not going to go there, but they did that on purpose.
I got.
It's a gross movie at that. When it comes to that,
and that's it made me uncomfortable when I was younger.
Yeah,
because I'm like, what are they talking about?
And the guy selling the car, it was gross. Like listening to him talk.
Yeah,
and then Arnie
that's
says
the best
that
smell in the world.
It's
like
Arnie says it again, kind of like that. Yeah.
All right. Final judgment. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
It's time now for final judgment. Are you ready to rubber stamp this bitch? Here's the final judgment.
All right, it's no longer opinion. Now it's down to fact. It's we are now going to determine whether or not this movie stands up to the test of time. Damn it, I did it again. Hey, you know what? I'm going to go first. Damn it. I'd say this movie absolutely does hold up. I think it's a very well-directed, well-written movie. I don't think it's is it entertaining? I don't know that I could watch this on a loop. It's not entertaining like Halloween is, or The Thing, which is much more violent and much more dark. But boy, it's just a really well done movie. So yes, it holds up. I just don't think they're ever going to make a movie like this anymore. That's the problem. It doesn't hold up in the way that movie executives simply aren't going to churn out Christine anymore, which kind of makes me sad. But yes, it absolutely holds up. Jason, back from vacay. Does this hold up, Jason?
Looking refreshed with that nice glowing skin, by the way.
I know.
Your skin looks very
good. You got good color.
I had to get burnt first in order to get this beautiful skin.
It just looks like it doesn't look like a tan though. It just looks like it's like glowy.
Yeah, it just looks like skin cancer. Go ahead, Jay.
Hey, no, it does because it was really it was a fun watch. You could relate to these stories. Bullies still exist. People, who are loners still exist. I think any of us here could relate to that in some way, shape, or form. Sure. Whether we're not to that level, but it's, I just think so. I think when themes are that universal, it's very simple to attach yourself to them. You know what I mean? And keep it where that's the thing you're relating to. So the fact that we can relate, even though we're not going to get a possessed car anytime soon, I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, in general, though, there's a reason we're all rooting for Arnie and the car at first.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can relate that well, I think it holds up.
Great. Awesome. Melanie Howerton.
Okay. So 100%. I think it's funny though, they said they were making a remake, and I can see them maybe making a Christine Part 2, but not a remake, because you can't get better than this. You can't get better than the actors that they picked and everything that they did, the filming of it. It doesn't look old in any way. To me, it's just so beautifully done. And I don't say that often. It's just the way that it was written, directed, filmed, the background music, just every single thing about it, the way the actors were. Even I read that Lee didn't like how she acted. She thought that she should have been directed more because she was brand new. I think she did fantastic.
She's not real good. I don't think she did good.
I thought she was great in it. I mean, she doesn't have that many parts. You know what I'm saying? It's not like she has, I don't know. So I think whatever she did was fine.
You know what's weird about that?
What?
Sorry, but on her, she's so brand new. Why would you experiment with my twin to have a goofy thing to take on the director there? Hey, let's play a practical joke on I'm brand new at this. My God.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So anyway, my husband doesn't like a lot of 80s movies. You already know that. He thinks they're super boring and old, and he can't stand how they look. He loved it. I think that says a lot. I think it blows away a ton of movies out there that are being made right now. I think that this is one of Stephen King's best ones he's ever done. And that's hard to say because I love Stephen King and he's done so many good things. But I think it was just absolutely beautifully done and almost perfection to me, really, in a movie.
It's really good. I was surprised at how good it was.
So good. And it wasn't slow. There's nothing slow about it.
No.
There's stuff going on from the very beginning to the very end. It's it captures, you don't want to look away. If you look away for 2 seconds, you're going to miss something. So there is literally nothing slow about it. And like Jay said, you can relate. I know I can relate. I know you guys can probably relate.
Oh, absolutely. I was already
bullied. I 100% can relate to that. And I just couldn't believe the extent of what was allowed back then compared to now. I don't think a lot of kids would get away with what they did with the knives and everything and threatening the teachers. But
he got kicked out of school, but they let him go to the football game.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that. That he was at the football game.
Yeah. They shouldn't have let him in, but whatever. Melly, like I said, I agree. It's just, there's a lot. There are better Carpenter movies, but boy, like this one, I don't know why I didn't like it, but whatever. Maybe you had an idea in mind. So
there's a lot going on in it. There's a lot going on, and you got to just put down what you're doing, and you just have to watch it and get into it. And it's really an amazing movie. And I think I even had more respect for it this time that I watched it because I wanted to really pay attention to everything. But it's beautifully done, and I don't say that for a lot of movies, but it is a beautifully done movie.
And the fact that we watched it and both of, like, I think all three of us got a different vibe about what it's really about. Like, well, you asked the question, what is this movie really about? And all of us kind of came up with three different things, which means that John did his job. Like, he put this thing out there and let us decide what we think about it. And it's great. I love that shit. I like that. So, all right. That was, hey guys, that was our show. Thanks for listening to the Film Crickets. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Thanks to Steve Lavoie for the vocal imaging. Thank you for Draco and the Malfoys for providing the music. Thank you again on behalf of myself, Chris Martineau, and my co-hosts, Jay Fortier and Melanie Howerton. Please remember that movies may not age like fine wine, but we drink them anyway.
Or coffee.
Thanks.
Chirp about movies.